All right, guys, so in my opinion, this is going to be the best setup Xmaxx that you can get. This is the way I would set it up if it were mine. This custom job was done for a F16 mechanic. His name is Keith. He's a very good customer of mine. He buys a lot of things, and he told me just set him up an Xmaxx that I would actually do myself. So this is it, and it might be surprising for many, because this is a, it's not an expensive build and it doesn't involve any fancy motors. And let's get into it. So basically this was a used Xmaxx that he bought, and we took the old body, we discarded it, and we actually made up a Pro Graphics body. We did red striping, and it contrasts the red aluminum on the car. And basically, speaking of the aluminum, we did aluminum parts where the car sees most of the breakage, which is the caster block, the steering links, and the rear bearing carriers. We also went with an aluminum bell crank. The servo horn is also anodized red aluminum. They're all Traxxas parts. They're very high quality. If you look at the aluminum, they're machined to a very high tolerance. Traxxas makes the best aluminum parts. I wouldn't buy anything else. A lot of things that you find maybe on Amazon or eBay, their tolerances are very poor, and there's a lot of play in them. With the Traxxas parts, there is no play. The tolerances are perfect. The bearings fit in them great, and they don't have any problems with slop or anything like that. We also went with the aluminum steering links. You get a little bit crisper steering response. If you're gonna do the aluminum steering links, I recommend going to the upgraded servo, which we put in here, which is the 2065R. It's got over 650 ounces of steering torque, which is really important, and it's very strong. It's their best servo that you can put in the Xmaxx. It's about 140 bucks. I put it in every Xmaxx that I own, and it seems to be the best. If you go with like another company other than the Traxxas brand, it's not really going to be the fit is not going to be like the Traxxas servo, and I don't recommend it. I recommend sticking with Traxxas servos. Get the 2065R and call it a day. Now, as far as setting up the car, it's very important to know that when you have the car out of the box, the brakes are at 100%. And what happens is when you hit the brakes after going full throttle, the car can actually flip over and you'll end up scratching the body. It's frustrating. You don't need 100% brakes. It also puts a big strain on the drivetrain, the gears, the pinion and the spur. A lot of times it'll make them come loose if the brakes are at 100%. I recommend going down to anywhere from 89 to 95% on the brakes. You do that through the Bluetooth app, just adjust it, and it'll go from there. As far as the steering through the app, you want to change the endpoints because the steering is not equal left and right when it comes out of the box. You want to go into your app and you want to actually modify the steering endpoints so that they're equal. Very easy to do with the Bluetooth app. And if you need any help with that, just do a search on YouTube and you'll see videos on how to do that. I'm not going to go through that today. As far as the lighting, so for the lighting, when I put lighting in an Xmaxx, I put basically, it's the $100 Xmaxx lighting kit, and I put the front lights in the front bumper like standard, but I avoid putting the lights in the upper part of the body, which it really goes here. I put it and modify the rear bumper, and that is because it looks better here. It's more appropriate in the back bumper. And the second reason is when you take the body off, you don't have the connection point in the body, which is a really big, it's a point for failure. As you're taking the body off and on, you have that wire, attached to the body. It's kind of like, I don't know, inconvenient. So I like a clean, just a clean installation. You take off the body on and off, and then all the wires are basically attached to the car. So nothing is attached to the body. That's the way I run my car. The other upgrade I did on this car is I upgraded the fans. So the stock fans that come with this car, basically are very poor performing. They're very low RPM. They're very weak. They often fail. And I went with EcoPower. They're 20,000 RPM fans. They basically clip right in where the stock fans go. They're pre-wired with the same wire length that the Traxxas fans have. So they go right in with no modifications. It's a very easy install. You just remove the 4 screws that hold the motor The motor, the motor fan shroud is held on by 4 screws on the heatsink. Just remove that. You pop in the new fans, and basically you're going to have a much cooler motor. People don't realize that performance in motors after they get heat up many times, even in a brushless setup, will degrade the performance of the magnets over time. So it's always good to install the fans right when you get the car. They're $17.99 for the fans. We'll put the links below. The other thing we did is we went with the aluminum wheelie bar wheels. They're nice. It's a beautiful touch to the car. It gets rid of the plastic look. They come with the ball bearings and some hardware, and they make the car look really trick. Another thing we did was the shock caps. We did an anodized aluminum red to match the shocks and the rest of the car. And basically you have it's a blacked out car with red accents. It's beautiful. This is the exact way that I would set up my X-Maxx. And this thing runs absolutely phenomenal. Now let's talk about the motor. Why did I keep, on a car that I consider something perfect, why would I keep the stock motor and speed control? A lot of people don't do that. Why did I do it, and why do I recommend it? Well, the first reason is I feel like when you have a motor in a car, there's 2 characteristics that I look for. One is, does it cog? You know, when it does that hesitation on throttle. This does not do it. The stock Traxxas motor and speed control have no cogging issues. The other thing I look for is, you know, is the motor reaching the potential right at the edge of the suspension? And that's what this is. I feel like the Traxxas motor takes the car to the edge of its ability as far as suspension wise, and it's just perfect. So going with a bigger motor, adding more weight, adding more complexity, you know, is not really something that I do. It's not something that I like to do. I've done it in the past for customers, and I've ran cars with bigger motors in it. It ends up destroying the drivetrain, and the car doesn't drive as good as, in my opinion, doesn't drive as good as a stock setup because of the weight and just like that. Again, you don't want to overpower the car because it's not going to drive realistic, and it's going to overpower the suspension. The suspension and the motor, the speed control, they all work perfectly together. Not every Traxxas car has that. Some Traxxas cars need more power. This is one of the cars that just doesn't. It works great out of the box. It is the best selling 5th scale car in the world. There is nothing better. Many years ago, the Baja 5B and 5T, those were the 2 best selling 5th scale cars available. Those were gas powered. And now they're still available, and they also have them in electric. But that was a king for a time. This now is the king. I mean, we sell more of these. I would say more of these than any other car in its price point and class. So Traxxas did a fantastic job with this car. It's unbelievable how the sales never really tapered off. They just keep coming. You know, people keep calling me for X-Maxx builds, and you know, the sales just don't stop. You would think the economy slows down and the sales of these cars would you know, tank a little bit. We're still selling X-Maxxes at the same pace as we used to. So it's really nice, and it's surprising. The other thing you want to know when you get this car, the perfect pinion and spur for this car is it's a 22 tooth pinion and a 50 tooth spur. And you want to get them in machined steel. I like the 22 tooth pinion from Techno. It seems to work the best. It has a 2.5 millimeter grub screw in it, so you could actually tighten it up more than a regular 2 millimeter grub screw. It holds better. The machine work on the Techno pinion is flawless. And then I use a Traxxas machined steel gear. Both of those are going to be stronger than the stock gears. And also the difference in the pinion and spur size are going to make the car drive a lot better. Now, usually when you go up in the pinion size and go down in spur, you increase speed and you lose torque. This motor has so much torque and power that out of the box with the 1854, it is underpowered. So when you upgrade the pinion and spur, it's interesting because you don't lose any torque. You're gaining speed and you're gaining torque. The wheel, the way it pulls wheelies is much more aggressive with the new gearing. That is exactly where I would put it. So it's 22 pinion, 50 spur, and the car is just perfect. With this setup that I'm showing you here, it is absolutely beautiful to drive. It's perfect. It doesn't need any modifications after that. You don't need to waste your money on nonsense, oversized motors and speed controllers. There is no need for it. I also see a lot of people wasting their money putting hobby wing speed controls in this car. It doesn't need it. It really doesn't. There is no cogging with the stock speed control as far as I can see, and I've been working on these cars for quite a while. So that is going to be my pick for this car. As far as the wheels go, you know, the new belted sledgehammers definitely are much better than the original tire from Traxxas. The original tire used to balloon and blow up after a couple of runs on 8S. This tire is actually meant to last. Very, very durable. It doesn't lose its shape. It holds really nice, and it's very durable. Another wheel that I really like are the Proline Mashers. They have a flat, more of a flat type of tread, where you have more contact patch with the ground. It's good for, you can actually use this in dirt because of the pattern here, but you could also run this in the street. When you run this in the street, precision wheelies are easy to pull off, and the car just feels very crisp when you drive it as a low profile rubber here, as opposed to the sledgehammer, but this is a really good option. They're not that expensive. They're also, like I mentioned before, they're belted, and they come with two different hubs now. You have one for the X-Maxx and one for the Creighton 8S, so you can use it if you have both cars. You can change it back and forth between those cars. A very, very nice option, and I highly recommend those. Anyway, this is Mark from parkflyers.com signing off. This is basically a video of how I would set up an Xmaxx for perfect performance. And like I said, you don't need to spend all your money on expensive electronic components. It's a waste of time, and you're gonna actually ruin your drivetrain if you do it. Stick with the stock electronics, just upgrade the pinion and spur, get a good pair of sledgehammer belteds, just makes the adjustments that I mentioned in the video, get some aluminum parts like we showed on this for durability, and you're gonna have a car that's gonna not just perform very well, it's gonna last a very, very long time and give you many years of enjoyment. Anyway, signing off, please share this video with friends, give us a like, and we'll see you on the next one. Take care and have a great day.